talking to my brother Rob and co-founder at King Grizzly real quick. Called him up on Zoom to talk about the new Gumroad website, which is getting a lot of reaction right now on Twitter. I wanted to get your take, Rob, on sort of the marketing strategy of the homepage. Just chat about that real quick. So I'll pull that up.
Yeah, sure. Excited to take a look. We haven't actually spent much time looking at it, so we haven't really scripted this out. We kind of wanted to just give our initial takeaways as we kind of experienced the site for pretty much the first time ourselves. I've definitely been seeing some of their new collateral and branding in different avenues and glancing at the site. But yeah, let's walk through it.
Well, and they also got a lot of funding lately, I think. So first impressions, big logo.
Yeah, big logo, interesting design. It reminds me of Figma, I guess, or maybe like the old school Batman where it's like pow, bam.
Oh yeah, kind of cartoony comic book.
But I like it. It feels memorable. I mean, maybe this gets old, but they can always change it, right? It feels fresh right now. And if they're successful, they'll have plenty of money to change it again.
Yeah, so the design's kind of fun and wild, but I'm kind of curious. The reason I want to talk about this is I think that this website appears to be a great example of value proposition design and understanding what motivates a customer and creating copy that's customer centric. So kind of curious, Rob, what your take is on, say, how some of that is put together.
Well, I mean, right away, right? So after you scroll down and the logo becomes, not a giant billboard, your eye goes right to that main copy there on the left where it says go from 0 to 1. Anyone can earn their first dollar online. So I think what kind of strikes me initially is they're not promising riches in the title, right? It's not, hey, make $1 million. It's actually saying you can make your first dollar. And that's kind of an interesting thing. Like, I don't think I've ever had anyone, I've received plenty of people saying they'll help you make a ton of money, but this is an interesting thing to go from 0 to 1. And it kind of, I think it's really effective, and it sort of reduces that barrier to entry, and it gives you permission to not make $1 million, right?
Well,
it gives you permission to just get started and make $1, because trying to think about making $1 million, maybe that gets people motivated, but also it's really overwhelming to think, how do I make this huge thing? So I kind of like that they've actually almost reset the expectations.
It reminds me when I started listening to Pat Flynn, when I was getting interested in starting my own business. He had a guy on there who he tried to do some, side hustle stuff, right? Like build his own business and affiliate marketing. Nothing was working. And this guy who he was interviewing was out like mowing his yard on one of these John Deere mowers. And he had his headphones on and he got this notification on his phone. And it said something like, I can't remember the number, but it was like, you made 10 cents or you made $1. Like the guy had actually made some money with the side hustle thing. And he was so excited, he jumped off of his mower and went to tell his wife. But then he knew, like, hey, if I made $1, I can make more, right? So it's interesting to me because I think this plays to that sort of crowd, to start your own business. I like this idea of see what sticks too, right? It's almost like a philosophy or education piece.
Well, and if you go back up, what's interesting to me is I don't believe that box is clickable with the person who sells the brushes. So I mean, it kind of shows someone who's, oh, maybe you can click on it.
Huh.
What happens if you click on it?
It's her Gumroad.
Okay, yeah. So you can actually see. Okay, yeah, that makes sense to me. But yeah, so right away they introduce you to someone who's actually using the platform, which is helpful to kind of just encourage people that way. But yeah, so you're talking about the see what sticks idea.
Well, I was also going to say on the go from 0 to $1, they're not saying what. They're not saying what their product or service is. They're basically talking in a benefit type of copy, which I think is more useful.
Sure.
See what sticks. All those great ideas you have, we want you to try them, lots of them, find out what works. Start small, learn quickly, get better together, the Gumroad way.
Yeah, that's I mean, really, they're kind of showing people the path, right? And they're also educating them. I know that we talk a lot with our clients, even with larger projects. Nobody can tell exactly what's going to work. And in a digital world, there's a lot of opportunity for iteration. And I would say actually the environment actually necessitates sort of trying things versus just, we're going to swing for the fences and hope we don't miss. So yeah, it's kind of interesting that they're kind of,
it's teaching people the lean startup or like MVP, minimum viable, like, product approach, right? So don't take scary risks. Instead of selling a book, play small bets. That's exciting. And they have the little thing down here, exciting. Start by selling a blog post. So like do something small. So I'm getting the idea like, okay, with Gumroad, I can do that. Like I don't know how it works. I maybe don't even quite know what Gumroad is yet. But I get excited about this idea of, hey, I can make money on the side and it doesn't have to be a huge risk.
Yeah, it's the same thing about setting expectations lower than maybe people assume that they have to be. Make your own road.
Whether you need more balance, flexibility, or just a different gig, we make it easier to chart a new path. And then you don't have to be a tech expert to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it feels to me as I'm reading through this, they're really just trying to appeal to everybody, right? They're trying to say like, if you want to sell something, you can do it. That's kind of what I'm getting from the beginning of this.
I just don't feel like this is targeting like my parents, the way the design aesthetic is. I mean, maybe.
Well, our parents wouldn't be looking to sell anything online either, but.
Yeah. So I also think it's interesting right now where we talk about people trying to hire employees or the great resignation or right, like this idea of people maybe potentially trying to do their own thing. I kind of wonder if this copywriting is playing on that.
Okay, so now we're getting down into more Procreate brush packs. Apparently, I don't know why Procreate brush packs are the main thing, but we got a quote from a guy there. Sell to anyone, build the following, we'll handle the fine print.
This one's interesting. The guy says, originally I took pre-orders for my trend reports on Gumroad, but I received exactly $0. So I changed tactics. I made half of my report free and the other half paid. So I'm thinking like, wow, how do you do that? I didn't know you could do that. Today, 99% of trends VC revenue is recurring in the form of annual and quarterly subscriptions. I almost wonder if he got that idea from Gumroad Education. I don't know.
Well, this fits their narrative, right? This is saying, hey, this is someone who iterated. They changed, he pivoted, right? And that's really what they're pitching here. They're saying start MVPs, start with the smallest thing you can, and then figure out what works. And then it looks like they've got scrolling list of ideas, right?
Yeah, sell anywhere. So now we start to learn a little bit about the what. Customize your storefront with our platform or use your personal site. So you start to understand like, okay, I can connect to Gumroad in different ways. Another testimonial.
Oh, passive income. They use the passive income word.
Yeah. Then they show that this works. People are making money. Neat. New sale. So this is lifestyle, right? This guy's out riding his new, what do you call those things? It's not a skateboard.
I don't know.
I want one of those. They look fun.
I see them. I've tried one.
So start free, pay less as you grow. So now it's like, how much does this cost? Like, Rob, don't we have an exercise where it's like cost is one of the main considerations, obviously, when you're considering a new product or service.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think our exercise has to do with like, hey, your customer is probably wondering about price, and you're probably not wanting to talk about price, but you need to meet your customer. So right away, even on their homepage, right, and in their nav, they have a pricing. And actually, I had read a little bit about their new pricing scheme here, where it's It's all percentage based. So it's fairly straightforward. Now, I mean, just logically looking at it, they do take a higher percentage from people that are just getting started. So, I mean, maybe business model wise too, they've probably figured out that, hey, we can do pretty well, even if, not everyone's making $1 million on our platform, which of course they won't. Some will probably, I would assume, but a lot of people, it's going to be a little bit extra income on the side, maybe.
Then this must be a community. Independent doesn't mean alone. So there's community resources, and we're not going to dig into all that. But what I think is interesting about some of these resources is they've invested a lot into, I think, creating content that is actually high value to their target customer versus just sort of like, sometimes there's a temptation to just create a lot of content, right? Hoping that Google or the search engines will rank it and you'll get traffic, right? It's almost like the content creation's an afterthought. Like, we're going to create 40 blog posts with a bunch of keywords because we're trying to suck people in. I don't feel like they're doing that. Like, I feel like, I mean, I'm sure there's some SEO going on, but to me, it seems like high value content for their target customer. Like, I would want to read this if I was trying to figure out how to make a site.
Yeah, those articles are, they fit pretty well with what they're trying to do. Share your work. Someone out there needs it. Start selling. I like the call to action of start selling. Really quick, go back up to the top. I'd be curious what this page reads like if we just read the headlines, right? So like, if we only read the headlines, it says go from 0 to 1, start selling. All those great ideas you have. You want to try them. We want you to try them, lots of them, and find out what works. Don't take risks. That's scary. Play small bets. That's exciting. Make your own road. So that independence, right? Sell anything. Go ahead and just keep scrolling down. Sell to anyone. Sell anywhere. Big number. Start free. Pay less as you grow. Independent doesn't mean alone. Earn from our mistakes. Clever words there. Share your work. Someone out there needs it. So even if I just read those headlines, which that's what a lot of people might do, or people kind of skim right away, I think they've done a really good job of speaking to their audience without saying this is our audience, right? Like, they haven't said this exact person, right? They're basically using the benefits to speak the language of the people they're trying to reach. So it's like, hey, you can have independence. You can sell to anyone, anywhere. You're not alone in this. People out there need what you're creating. Like, what does every creator want, right? They want people to need and want what they're creating. So I think, I think that this is a pretty well done page in terms of really being kind of using benefits to kind of sell the product. Because really, I don't even exactly know what the product is unless, if I just read this page, I'm not really sure what it does. I just know what it helps me accomplish. Now, maybe, I'm not sure we read every little word. Maybe they do describe it more, but maybe that's not so much as important when I start, right? Like, I'm more interested in making my first dollar. I'm more interested in realizing, like, hey, here's all the possibilities. And then I'm sure that if I kind of go down the path, I'm going to learn more about their platform and how they help me do it, right?
Yeah. I was just curious what their other headlines. We don't need to go through all these pages, but features actually says built for new beginnings. Pricing, prioritize your profits.
So we haven't read every page, right? But it really does seem like it's tailored towards people starting, which makes sense, right? Because if you're already doing this, maybe you're just logging in, or maybe you already have a platform, I guess. But it really seems like they're really tailoring it towards this idea of getting started, which makes sense. It really fits with the climate that we're in, with work culture and the creative culture, or the creator culture. I think it's pretty compelling in terms of the look. I like that they made something distinct. You know, how long that look feels fresh, I'm not sure, but they could always change it. And so I think for the time being, it looks pretty cool to me.
Yeah, well, I wanted to run it by you because I feel like just having a website these days, that's not that much of an achievement, right? Like it was a big deal in the past. Where it was like our business has a website online or our product, right? But now it seems like there's sort of like a higher, more effective level of copywriting and positioning and value proposition design. I think this site's really cool. Yeah.
Well, and
Anyway,
they have quite a bit on their homepage, but I feel like they didn't try to cram everything in there, right? Like the copy's nice and big, it's easy to read. You know, it follows a really clear logic of the benefits, and then pointing out some people that use the platform. And so really, I mean, it helps you take the next step, right? Like you don't have to be, all you have to do on that homepage is take the next step. And whether that's clicking on another page, clicking on one of the buttons. And I think that this is a compelling way to get people to do that, at least
I
glancing at it.
I just wonder, like on Gumroad side of things, like in terms of their effort, like how much harder it was for them to do this version of the site than maybe something less kind of creative. Like if it was a little more just informational, right? Like what's the effort level in creating something just more informational versus something that is a little over the top, but also feels more unique to me. And the content feels really interesting to look at.
Yeah, it would be interesting to compare it to some other platforms, which I mean we didn't do, but I'd be curious what some of the other kind of selling platforms, how they message things on their site. I might do that actually when we get off here because I'm just kind of curious. But
Yeah.
yeah. So, anyways, thanks for walking through it with me. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
If we do end up posting this video, I'd be curious what other people kind of think about the homepage and what stands out to them. So yeah.
All right. Thanks, Rob. See you.